The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman, is a novel written by Laurence Sterne. It was first published in 9 volumes between 1759 and 1767. The novel is known for its distinctive narrative style and experimental structure, making it one of the earliest examples of metafiction. The protagonist, Tristram Shandy, attempts to narrate his life story from birth, but the novel is filled with digressions, interruptions, and unconventional narrative techniques. Sterne plays with the traditional form of the novel, breaking the fourth wall and engaging with the reader directly. The novel is more concerned with the narrator's thoughts, opinions, and the process of storytelling than with a linear plot. Some of the notable features of Tristram Shandy include its use of blank pages, marbled pages, and unique typographical symbols. Sterne's humor is often bawdy and satirical, and he explores themes such as the unpredictability of life, the influence of chance, and the limitations of language in expressing the complexities of human experience. The unconventional nature of Tristram Shandy puzzled and intrigued contemporary readers, and it continues to be a subject of study and discussion in the fields of literature and literary theory. The novel's influence can be seen in later work that experiment with narrative structure and challenge conventional storytelling norms. The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman is about the life of the fictional character, Tristram Shandy. This is a psychological novel, in which Tristram Shandy is the narrator. The book is divided into 9 volumes by Laurence Sterne, which is published between 1759–1767. This is a piece of 18th century writing, but still to readers, it feels like a postmodern literature. This novel has problems with communication as all the characters of the novel are unable to communicate each other properly. From the beginning of the novel, Tristram was very upset because of the interruption of his mother during his conception by asking a question to his father that he had remembered to wind the clock. Because Tristram believed that the moment of one's conception matters the most, it nurtures the mind, body, and character of the child. Later Tristram introduces the reader to the other character of the novel, like his family, his father Walter Shandy, and his uncle Toby Shandy. He presented the stories of his family history, his uncle Toby's affection for military fortifications in a disjointed manner. He talked about his uncle Toby's groin injury. Then the day of his birth come, his father and uncle Toby were chatting in the living room. Finally, Susanna came to inform them that Mrs. Shandy is about to deliver the child. Susanna calls the midwife, she arrives, but to be extra sure Walter Shandy sent Obadiah to call drive. Slop. But the doctor did not bring his medicine bag. Then, Obadiah brings the bag as Walter asks him to do so. Then both Toby and Mr. Shandy begin their conversation. Then, Tristram born and various disasters begin. Drive. Slop cuts Toby's skin during practice, then he cuts his thumb accidentally, Susanna cuts her arm, the midwife falls on the floor, and eventually, drive. Slop breaks Tristram's nose and then he makes a new nose bridge. Then Tristram tells the story of Hafen Slockenbergus, a fictional character's tale, who has a large nose. When his father was thinking the name of the newborn child, Susanna came to him and tell that the child may not live and he needs to be baptized. Walter tells her that the child's name is Trismegistus, but Susanna forgets the name and Yorick thought that she was trying to say Tristram. Later his father asks Didius, church lawyer, that if he can rename the child, but the lawyer denied, and then they have to keep the name. Mr. Shandy wants to give the money, which he inherited as a legacy from Aunt Dinah, to Bobby, his elder son, for his Europe's trip, but then he receives news that Bobby is dead. His father, Walter, was very stunned by Bobby's death, but then he became very conscious about Tristram's education and he started writing Tristrampedia, in which he stated how to teach his young child. But then he did not pay attention and ignore Tristram's education because he was busy in writing the book. Later, Tristram had to face an accidental circumcision. After his circumcision, he was crying in pain while everyone was thinking what to do. Mr. Shandy was concerned about his education and was looking for a tutor. He asked Toby, and Toby suggested Lefever's son, Billy. Tristram then tells the tale of Lefever's death and how Toby became the guardian of Billy Lefever. He then tells the story of Toby's love affair with his neighbor, Widow Wadham. Then Tristram begins his journey to Europe as he was concerned about his health. He traveled the whole France for his health reasons. When he was in southern France he feels safe and was not feeling any need to run for death. He did not talk much about his trip but only tell the reader how he feels there and his dance with Nanette, village girl. In last, Tristram tells the reader about the love of Widow Wadman for Toby Shandy when he stayed at her house for a few days and she falls in love with him, but Toby was unknown of her love. But when Toby came to know, he tried to win her and Walter helped him in this act. He tells him how to deal with ladies. When Toby and Trim arrive at Wadman's house, they had a little conversation. There Trim wins the heart of widow's servant, Bridget. Later, Toby came to know that she was worried about his groin injury and then Toby assured her that nothing has happened to him by letting her see and touch. But Toby became upset when he came to know that she is marrying him just to fulfill her sexual desire and not because of love. Then, he wants to talk to Walter, but Obadiah interrupted and complained about Mr. Shandy's impotent bull. Tristram Shandy, a fictitious figure, is the subject of the book, The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, a Gentleman. Tristram Shandy is the narrator of this psychological novel, which follows his life from birth to adulthood, albeit it is sometimes cut short by many tangents and digressions. Laurence Sterne published the book between 1759 and 1767 and split it into 9 volumes. Despite being from the 18th century, this piece of writing nevertheless seems like postmodern literature to readers. This book has communication issues since none of the characters can interact with one another effectively. Tristram Shandy was born into a strange and eccentric family that includes his dad, Walter Shandy, his mom, and his uncle Toby. Tristram's birth circumstances and his family's impact on his upbringing are topics covered in the novel. The story, however, frequently deviates into irrelevant incidents, philosophical reflections, and hilarious remarks. Tristram was furious from the start of the book because his mother had been interrupted when carrying him, asking his father whether he remembered how to wind the clock. Because Tristram felt that the time of conception is the most important, as it fosters the child's intellect, body, and character. Tristram's father, Walter Shandy, is concerned with theories about how humans are conceived and think that a person's personality and skills are predetermined at the time of creation. He often debates ideas and has great intentions for his son's education, but things frequently go wrong because of distractions and unanticipated events. Uncle Toby of Tristram is a former military man who is engrossed in researching fortifications and combat. He is shown to be a friendly and compassionate person who frequently finds comfort in building scale model representations of battles and conversing philosophically with Corporal Trim, his devoted assistant. His father and his uncle Toby were doing a conversation in the living room on the day of his birth. Finally, Susanna arrived to notify them that Mrs. Shandy was on the verge of giving birth. Susanna called the midwife, who promptly arrived, but Walter Shandy sent Obadiah to summon Drive Slop just to be sure. When Walter requests Obadiah to fetch the doctor's medication bag, he does so. However, the doctor had forgotten to do so. The dialogue between Toby and Mr. Shandy then starts. Tristram is subsequently born, and a series of accidents ensue. Drive Slop accidentally cuts his thumb while practicing, Susanna cuts her arm, the midwife collapses to the ground, and lastly, Drive Slop smashes Tristram's nose before reconstructing it. Tristram then narrates the tale of Hafen Slockenbergus, a made-up figure with a big nose. Susanna came to his father as he was considering the name for the newborn kid and informed him that the infant might not survive and that he needed to be christened. Susanna forgets the child's name after Walter informs her it is Trismegistus, which leads Yorick to believe she was attempting to pronounce Tristram. Yorick is Walter and Tristram Shandy's trusted friend, cleric, and advisor. Later, his father asks Didius, the church's lawyer, whether he may change the child's name, but the lawyer says no, therefore, they must maintain the current one. Mr. Shandy wishes to give his older son Bobby the money he received as an inheritance from Aunt Dinah so that he can travel to Europe, but he learns that Bobby has passed away. Tristram's father, Walter, was devastated by Bobby's passing, but he soon realized how crucial it was for Tristram to have a good education. As a result, he began to write Tristram Media, outlining how to raise his little son. But because he was preoccupied with creating the book, he neglected to pay attention and disregarded Tristram's schooling. Tristram later had to deal with an unexpected circumcision. He was sobbing in anguish following his circumcision while everyone debated what to do. Mr. Shandy sought a tutor since he worried about his academic performance. When he questioned Toby, Toby offered Billy the son of Lefevre. Then Tristram narrates the story of Lefevre's demise and how Toby got to be Billy Lefevre's guardian. Then he describes Toby's romance with his next-door neighbor, Widow Wadham. Tristram then sets out for Europe since he is worried about his health. For the sake of his health, he traversed all of France. He feels comfortable and does not feel the urge to flee for his life while he is in southern France. He doesn't say much about his trip, instead telling the reader about his feelings in the village and his interaction with Nanette, the village girl. Finally, Tristram describes Widow Wadman's affection for Toby Shandy, whom she fell in love with while he was a guest at her home for a short while, although Toby was unaware of her feelings. But once Toby knew, he sought to win her over with Walter's assistance. Walter then gave him advice on how to behave around women. When Toby and Trim got to Wadman's residence, they started talking. Bridget, a servant for the widow, falls in love with Trim there. Later, when Toby learned she was concerned about his groin injury, he reassured her by letting her see and touch him that nothing had changed. Toby, however, felt angered when he learned that she was only marrying him to satiate her sexual need and not out of love. Then, he turns to Walter to continue his conversation, but Obadiah cuts him off to complain about Mr. Shandy's ineffective bull. Tristram recounts various amusing and humiliating experiences throughout the book, including escapades with his childhood friend Obadiah, his efforts to win over ladies, and his contacts with odd personalities. The story also dives into philosophical or literary debates, frequently upending traditional narrative frameworks and satirizing 18th-century literary traditions. In conclusion, it is a complicated, multi-layered book that defies typical storytelling rules. It is recognized for its innovative storytelling strategies, comedy, and human nature and identity study. It has been recognized as an essential and influential work in the evolution of the contemporary novel because of its disjointed structure, tangents, and playful tone. The life and opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman, features a variety of characters, each contributing to the novel's unique narrative style. Here are some of the main characters. Tristram Shandy, the protagonist and narrator of the story. Tristram is the one attempting to tell his life story, but the novel's unconventional structure often leads to digressions and delays. Walter Shandy, Tristram's father. Walter is an eccentric and opinionated character, often preoccupied with odd theories about names and the impact they have on a person's life. Toby Shandy, Tristram's uncle. Toby is a military man with a passion for hobby horse riding. He is a well-intentioned but somewhat eccentric character. Mrs. Shandy, Tristram's mother. She is often portrayed as a practical and level-headed character, attempting to keep the family in order despite the chaos caused by her husband and son. Dr. Slop, the eccentric and clumsy physician attending Tristram's birth. Dr. Slop's character provides comic relief and adds to the novel's satirical tone. Uncle Toby's servant, Trim, a loyal and good-natured character, Trim serves Toby and becomes involved in various humorous and unconventional adventures. Obadiah, the Shandy family's manservant. Obadiah is involved in various mishaps and serves as another source of humor in the novel. These characters, along with others, contribute to the novel's satirical exploration of life, opinions, and storytelling. The unconventional narrative style allows Sterne to play with the traditional elements of character development, making each character a part of the larger experimental structure of the work. The life and opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman, is a complex and experimental work that defies conventional narrative structures. Laurence Sterne's novel is not easily classified into a specific genre. It combines elements of satire, comedy, and philosophical reflection. Here are some key aspects of the novel that often attract analysis. Metafiction and narrative structure. Sterne's novel is a pioneering work of metafiction, as it constantly draws attention to its own status as a fictional creation. The narrative is filled with interruptions, digressions, and self-aware commentary on the act of storytelling. The unconventional structure challenges the traditional linear form of a novel, creating a fragmented and non-chronological narrative. This reflects Sterne's exploration of the unpredictability and randomness of life. Humor and satire. The novel is renowned for its humor, which ranges from witty wordplay to bawdy and irreverent jokes. Sterne uses humor to satirize various aspects of 18th-century society, including the medical profession, academic pedantry, and social conventions. The characters themselves, such as Walter Shandy and Dr. Slop, contribute to the satirical tone through their eccentricities and peculiar obsessions. Characterization. Character development in Tristram Shandy is unconventional. Sterne uses characters more as vehicles for his philosophical and satirical ideas than as traditional, fully fleshed-out individuals. Each character often embodies certain traits or ideas, contributing to the novel's thematic exploration. Philosophical themes. Sterne engages with philosophical ideas, including the impact of chance on human life, the limitations of language in expressing complex experiences, and the influence of names on destiny. These themes are woven into the narrative through various digressions and reflections. Typography and visual elements. Sterne incorporates visual elements into the novel, such as blank pages, marbled pages, and unusual typographical symbols. These elements contribute to the overall experimental nature of the work and emphasize the importance of the book as a physical object. Author-reader relationship. Sterne directly addresses the reader, creating an interactive and engaging relationship. The author invites the reader to participate in the storytelling process, breaking down the traditional boundaries between writer and audience. Cultural and historical context. Tristram Shandy is a product of the 18th century Enlightenment period, characterized by a questioning of traditional authority and a focus on reason and empirical observation. Sterne's novel reflects these intellectual currents through its skepticism, wit, and innovative approach to narrative. In analysis, scholars often explore how Sterne's novel challenges and subverts literary norms, offering a rich and multi-layered reading experience. The work continues to be studied for its impact on the development of the novel as a literary form and its contribution to the exploration of narrative techniques and self-reflexivity. The chronological summary of The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman, is a challenging task given the novel's intentionally disjointed and nonlinear structure. However, I'll provide a basic attempt to outline some key events in the order they appear in the narrative. Tristram's conception. The novel begins with Tristram's conception and his parents' discussions about names and his future. However, due to various interruptions, Tristram is not born until Volume 3. Tristram's birth. Volume 3 describes Tristram's birth, which is a comical disaster. Dr. Slop, the eccentric physician, accidentally injures Tristram during the delivery, leading to various complications. Family and childhood. The narrative includes episodes from Tristram's childhood, including his circumcision, Toby's passion for military fortifications, and Walter's peculiar ideas about education. Marble game and accidents. Uncle Toby's fascination with the military, particularly the construction of fortifications, is explored. There are also incidents involving Tristram's nose being accidentally crushed and Uncle Toby's groin injury. Toby and Widow Wadman. Uncle Toby's romantic encounter with Widow Wadman is recounted. The humorous discussions about military matters and love add to the satirical elements of the novel. Sentimental journey. Sterne's work, A Sentimental Journey Through France and Italy, is referenced within Tristram Shandy, with Sterne as a character. This adds another layer to the metafictional aspect of the novel. Various digressions and speculations. Throughout the narrative, Sterne introduces numerous digressions, ranging from discussions on noses to reflections on time. These interruptions create a fragmented structure, reflecting the unpredictability of life. Walter's philosophical musings. Walter Shandy, Tristram's father, engages in philosophical musings about noses, names, and destinies, often leading to humorous and absurd conclusions. Marbled pages and blank pages. Sterne uses visual elements like marbled pages and blank pages, adding to the unconventional structure and emphasizing the materiality of the book. Non-conclusion. The novel doesn't have a traditional conclusion. Sterne leaves many narrative threads unresolved, further challenging conventional expectations of storytelling. It's important to note that this summary attempts to provide a chronological order of events, but the novel's intentional disruptions, digressions, and unconventional narrative techniques make it difficult to present a straightforward timeline. Tristram Shandy is more about the act of storytelling, humor, and philosophical exploration than a traditional linear plot. The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman, is a satirical and experimental novel written by Laurence Sterne. The narrative is framed as the autobiography of Tristram Shandy, but its unconventional structure and constant digressions make it challenging to encapsulate in a traditional storyline. However, here's a conceptual box that attempts to capture key elements. Title: The Unpredictable Life of Tristram Shandy. Synopsis. Within the pages of this literary oddity, join Tristram Shandy on a journey through the eccentricities of his life, guided by the whims of chance and the quirks of his family. This novel defies the norms, embracing chaos, humor, and philosophical musings. Key elements. Conception and birth. Tristram's journey begins with his conception, a topic of much discussion and speculation within the Shandy household. His eventual birth becomes a comical and calamitous event. Family dynamics. Meet the Shandy family, each member contributing their unique eccentricities. Walter Shandy, obsessed with names and destinies; Mrs. Shandy, the practical and resilient mother; Toby, the military enthusiast; and other quirky characters. Uncle Toby's fortifications. Uncle Toby's passion for military matters takes center stage, with detailed discussions on fortifications, hobby horses, and humorous encounters with Widow Wadman. Philosophical diversions. Walter Shandy's philosophical musings on noses, names, and the influence of these factors on life's course provide both comic relief and a satirical critique of 18th-century thought. Narrative experimentation. Explore Sterne's groundbreaking narrative techniques, including digressions, interruptions, blank pages, and marbled sheets. The novel is a playground of literary experimentation and metafiction. Sentimental journey. Sterne's own work, A Sentimental Journey Through France and Italy, becomes intertwined with Tristram's story, blurring the lines between fiction and reality. Visual elements. Experience the novel's physicality with marbled pages, blank spaces, and unique typographical symbols, emphasizing the materiality of the book. No traditional conclusion. Embrace the lack of a conventional ending as Sterne leaves narrative threads dangling, challenging the reader's expectations and reinforcing the novel's theme of life's unpredictable nature. In this literary box, Tristram Shandy defies categorization, offering a delightful and unconventional exploration of existence, philosophy, and the art of storytelling. Open the box and embark on a journey through the whimsical and unpredictable world of Tristram Shandy. The life and opinions of Tristram Shandy, gentleman, is known for several distinctive features that set it apart from conventional novels of its time. These features contribute to its status as an innovative and experimental work of literature. Here are some key features. Metafiction. Tristram Shandy is considered one of the earliest examples of metafiction. Sterne frequently breaks the fourth wall, addressing the reader directly and drawing attention to the act of storytelling itself. The novel becomes self-aware, blurring the lines between fiction and reality. Nonlinear narrative. The novel's narrative structure is highly unconventional. It lacks a linear plot and is filled with digressions, interruptions, and non-chronological storytelling. Events are often presented out of order, challenging traditional expectations of how a story should unfold. Humor and satire. Sterne's humor is a defining feature of the novel. Ranging from witty wordplay to bawdy and irreverent jokes, the humor serves both as entertainment and as a means of satirizing various aspects of 18th-century society, including the medical profession, academia, and social conventions. Philosophical reflections. The novel engages with philosophical ideas, including the impact of chance on human life, the limitations of language, and the influence of names on destiny. Walter Shandy's eccentric philosophical musings provide a satirical commentary on contemporary thought. Characterization and caricature. Characters in Tristram Shandy are often more like caricatures than fully developed individuals. They embody certain traits or ideas rather than conforming to traditional character development. Each character serves as a vehicle for Sterne's satire and philosophical exploration. Topography and visual elements. Sterne incorporates visual elements into the novel, such as marbled pages, blank spaces, and unique typographical symbols. These visual features contribute to the overall experimental nature of the work and emphasize the physicality of the book. Unconventional page layout. The novel's pages are not just carriers of text, they are part of the storytelling experience. Sterne uses blank pages and unconventional layouts to create a visual representation of the narrative's disruptions and digressions. Lack of traditional conclusion. The novel lacks a conventional conclusion. Sterne leaves many narrative threads unresolved, challenging the reader's expectations of a neatly tied-up ending. This deliberate absence of closure reinforces the novel's themes of life's unpredictability. Incorporation of A Sentimental Journey. Sterne references his own work, A Sentimental Journey Through France and Italy, within Tristram Shandy, further blurring the distinction between fiction and the author's own life. Interactivity with the reader. Sterne engages directly with the reader, inviting them to participate in the storytelling process. This interactivity adds another layer to the relationship between the author and the audience. Tristram Shandy is a groundbreaking work that challenges the norms of its time, paving the way for future experiments in narrative form and metafiction. Its unique features make it a fascinating and influential piece in the history of literature. In The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman, Laurence Sterne presents a cast of eccentric and unconventional characters. Each character contributes to the novel's humor, satire, and philosophical explorations. Here's a brief character sketch of some key individuals. Tristram Shandy. The protagonist and narrator of the novel. Tristram is characterized by his wit, humor, and self-awareness. Despite being the central figure, he often gets sidetracked in his attempts to narrate his life story, reflecting the novel's nonlinear structure. Walter Shandy. Tristram's father, a well-intentioned but eccentric character. Walter is obsessed with theories about names and destinies, leading to humorous and absurd conclusions. His philosophical musings provide a satirical commentary on 18th-century thought. Toby Shandy. Tristram's uncle and a former military man. Toby is passionate about fortifications and often engages in quirky and humorous discussions about military matters. Despite his military background, Toby is portrayed as a gentle and sentimental character. Mrs. Shandy. Tristram's mother, a practical and level-headed character. Mrs. Shandy attempts to maintain order in the household, often serving as a foil to the eccentricities of her husband and son. Dr. Slop. The eccentric and clumsy physician attending Tristram's birth. Dr. Slop's character adds to the novel's humor, especially through his mishaps and peculiar medical practices. Trim. Uncle Toby's loyal and good-natured servant. Trim becomes involved in various humorous and unconventional adventures with Toby, and his character reflects themes of loyalty and camaraderie. Obadiah. The Shandy family's manservant. Obadiah is another character who contributes to the novel's comedic elements, often finding himself in amusing situations. Widow Wadman. A character involved in Uncle Toby's romantic subplot. Widow Wadman's interactions with Toby add a touch of sentimentality and contribute to the novel's exploration of love and relationships. These character sketches highlight the idiosyncrasies and quirks that make each character memorable. Sterne uses these characters not only for entertainment but also as vehicles for satirical commentary on various aspects of 18th-century society, including medicine, philosophy, and social conventions. The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman, explores a range of themes through its unconventional narrative and satirical wit. Here are some prominent themes with examples from the novel. Chance and Fate. Example: Tristram's unfortunate and comical circumstances during his birth, caused by Dr. Slop's clumsy intervention, highlight the theme of chance and how unpredictable events can shape one's life. Philosophical speculation. Example: Walter Shandy's eccentric theories about names and their impact on destiny exemplify the novel's exploration of philosophical speculation. His philosophical musings often lead to humorous and absurd conclusions. Metafiction and storytelling. Example: Sterne's constant interruptions, digressions, and direct addresses to the reader demonstrate the theme of metafiction. The novel continually draws attention to its own status as a work of fiction and invites the reader to engage with the storytelling process. Satire of contemporary society. Example: Sterne satirizes various aspects of 18th-century society, including the medical profession. Dr. Slop's character, with his eccentricities and mishaps during Tristram's birth, serves as a satirical commentary on the medical practices of the time. Humor and wit. Example: the novel is filled with witty wordplay, bawdy jokes, and humorous situations. For instance, the discussion of Toby's military hobby horse and his attempts to court Widow Wadman provides comedic relief and showcases Sterne's skill in humor. Unpredictability of life. Example: the novel's nonlinear structure and constant digressions reflect the theme of life's unpredictability. Tristram's attempts to narrate his life are often thwarted by unexpected events and diversions. Love and romance. Example: Uncle Toby's romantic subplot with Widow Wadman explores themes of love and courtship. The humorous discussions between Toby and Widow Wadman add a sentimental layer to the novel. The impact of war. Example: Toby's passion for military matters, particularly his obsession with fortifications, reflects the theme of the impact of war on individuals. His engagement with military strategies becomes a source of both humor and commentary on the consequences of conflict. Language and expression. Example: the novel delves into the limitations of language in expressing complex experiences. Sterne's playful use of typography, blank pages, and unconventional symbols emphasizes the challenges of conveying meaning through words. Reflection on art and creativity. Example: Sterne's own incorporation of A Sentimental Journey Through France and Italy, within Tristram Shandy, reflects a theme of self-reflection on the nature of art and the creative process. These themes, intertwined with Sterne's wit and humor, contribute to the novel's rich and multi-layered exploration of human experience and storytelling. Let's delve into a more detailed discussion of some key aspects of the life and opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman. Metafiction and narrative structure. Sterne's use of metafiction is groundbreaking for the time. The novel constantly breaks the fourth wall, with the narrator directly addressing the reader and discussing the act of writing. This self-awareness challenges traditional notions of storytelling and reader engagement. Wit and humor. Sterne's wit and humor permeate the entire narrative. From clever wordplay to bawdy jokes, the humor serves both as entertainment and as a tool for satirizing various aspects of 18th century society, including medicine, philosophy, and social conventions. Unconventional narrative techniques. The novel's structure is deliberately fragmented and nonlinear. Sterne employs digressions, interruptions, and non-chronological storytelling, creating a narrative that mirrors the unpredictability of life. The lack of a linear plot challenges readers' expectations. Philosophical musings. Walter Shandy's eccentric and humorous philosophical reflections on topics such as noses, names, and destinies contribute the novel's satirical edge. Sterne uses these musings to critique and mock the intellectual trends of his time. Characterization and caricature. Characters in Tristram Shandy are often caricatures rather than fully developed individuals. Each character embodies certain traits or ideas, contributing to the novel's satirical and philosophical exploration. Walter's obsession with names and Toby's military hobby horse are examples of this approach. Visual and typographical experimentation. Sterne's use of visual elements such as marbled pages, blank spaces, and unique typographical symbols is an integral part of the novel. These elements contribute to the book as a physical object, emphasizing its materiality and adding another layer to the reading experience. Interactivity with the reader. Sterne actively engages the reader, creating a dynamic relationship between the author and the audience. The direct addresses and invitations for the reader's participation add a level of interactivity that goes beyond the traditional role of the reader. Satire of contemporary society. The novel serves as a satirical commentary on various aspects of 18th century society. Dr. Slop's character and his mishaps during Tristram's birth satirize the medical practices of the time, while Toby's military preoccupations poke fun at certain societal attitudes towards war and heroism. Lack of traditional conclusion. Sterne intentionally leaves many narrative threads unresolved, and the novel lacks a traditional conclusion. This deliberate absence of closure emphasizes the theme of life's unpredictability and challenges the reader's expectations of a neatly tied-up ending. Incorporation of a sentimental journey. Sterne incorporates his own work, A Sentimental Journey Through France and Italy, into Tristram Shandy. This integration blurs the lines between fiction and reality, reinforcing the novel's metafictional elements. Tristram Shandy stands out not only for its narrative experimentation but also for its insightful and often humorous observations on life, philosophy, and the art of storytelling. Sterne's innovative approach has left a lasting impact on the development of the novel as a literary form. The life and opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman, has been a subject of critical acclaim and examination, but it has also faced criticism and controversy. Here are some critical comments and aspects of examination related to the novel. Praise for innovation. Positive comment. Critics often praise Sterne's innovative narrative techniques and metafictional approach. Tristram Shandy is recognized as a pioneer in breaking away from traditional narrative structures, offering a fresh and experimental perspective on storytelling. Challenges to reader expectations. Critical comment. Some readers and critics have found the novel challenging due to its lack of a conventional plot and its unconventional structure. Sterne's intentional disruptions can be disorienting for those accustomed to more straightforward narratives. Satire and social commentary. Positive comment. Sterne's satire is widely appreciated for its sharp wit and humorous critique of 18th century society. The novel's characters and their eccentricities serve as vehicles for commentary on various aspects of the medical profession, philosophy, and social norms. Philosophical complexity. Positive comment. The novel's philosophical musings, particularly those of Walter Shandy, are often praised for their complexity and depth. Sterne weaves philosophical ideas into the narrative, providing readers with intellectual engagement alongside the humor. Critique of fragmentation. Critical comment. Some critics argue that the novel's fragmented structure and constant digressions make it challenging for readers to follow a coherent storyline. The lack of a traditional plot can be seen as a drawback for those seeking a more conventional reading experience. Humor is a double-edged sword. Critical comment. While Sterne's humor is a central aspect of the novel, it may not resonate equally with all readers. The bawdy and irreverent jokes, as well as the novel's overall tone, may be off-putting for those with different tastes in humor. Complex characters versus caricature. Critical comment. Some critics argue that Sterne's characters, while serving satirical purposes, lack the depth and emotional resonance found in more traditionally developed characters. The emphasis on caricature may lead to a sense of detachment from the characters. Visual and typographical experimentation. Positive comment. Sterne's use of visual elements and typographical experimentation is often praised for its avant-garde approach. The inclusion of blank pages, marbled sheets, and unique symbols adds a tactile and visual dimension to the reading experience. Interaction with the reader. Positive and critical comments. Sterne's direct engagement with the reader has been both applauded for its innovative nature and criticized for potentially alienating readers who prefer a more passive experience. The interactive aspect depends on individual reader preferences. Legacy and influence. Positive comment. Tristram Shandy has left an enduring legacy and has influenced subsequent generations of writers. Its impact on the development of the novel as a form of literature and its experimental spirit have garnered admiration from scholars and authors alike. In summary, while Tristram Shandy is celebrated for its innovation, wit, and satirical brilliance, it also faces criticism for its unconventional structure, challenging humor, and the potential alienation of certain readers. The novel's critical reception is often influenced by individual preferences and expectations regarding the conventions of storytelling. Laurence Sterne, 1713–1768, was an English novelist and clergyman best known for his innovative and experimental novel, The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman. Sterne's unique narrative style and playful approach to storytelling set him apart as a key figure in the development of the novel as a literary form. Here are some aspects of Laurence Sterne as a novelist. Innovative narrative techniques. Sterne is celebrated for his groundbreaking narrative techniques in Tristram Shandy. He employed metafiction, breaking the fourth wall by directly addressing the reader, and experimented with nonlinear storytelling, digressions, and interruptions. This innovative approach challenged the conventional norms of the 18th century novel. Humor and satire. A significant aspect of Sterne's novels is his humor and satirical wit. Tristram Shandy is filled with clever wordplay, bawdy jokes, and satirical commentary on various aspects of 18th century society. Sterne used humor as a tool to critique and mock the intellectual trends, social conventions, and professions of his time. Philosophical reflections. Sterne incorporated philosophical musings into his novels, often through characters like Walter Shandy in Tristram Shandy. These reflections touched on topics such as fate, the impact of names, and the complexities of human experience. Sterne used satire to explore philosophical ideas in an accessible and engaging manner. Characterization and caricature. Sterne's characters are often caricatures, embodying certain traits or ideas rather than conforming to traditional character development. The eccentricities of characters like Walter Shandy and Uncle Toby contribute to the novel's satirical and philosophical themes. Visual and typographical experimentation. Sterne went beyond the written word by incorporating visual elements and typographical experimentation into his novels. The use of blank pages, marbled sheets, and unique symbols added a visual and tactile dimension to the reading experience, making the book itself an integral part of the narrative. Engagement with readers. Sterne actively engaged with his readers through direct addresses, invitations for participation, and a sense of shared storytelling. This interactive approach challenged the traditional separation between author and reader, creating a dynamic relationship between the two. A sentimental journey. Sterne's other significant work, A Sentimental Journey Through France and Italy, is a novella that further explores Sterne's narrative style and themes. While Tristram Shandy is known for its satirical humor, A Sentimental Journey introduces a more sentimental and emotional tone. Legacy and influence. Sterne's impact on the novel as a literary form cannot be overstated. His experimentation with form and style influenced later writers, including James Joyce and Virginia Woolf, who admired Sterne's innovative spirit. Tristram Shandy remains a classic that continues to be studied and celebrated for its daring narrative techniques. Laurence Sterne's contributions to literature extend beyond his lifetime, and his influence is evident in the development of the novel as a more flexible and experimental genre. His works continue to be studied and appreciated for their wit, humor, and groundbreaking narrative techniques.